So we're looking at Đinh Thị Thắm Poong and her work Night. Her artistic style is very recognizable, characterized by a fascinating interplay of patterns and a sense of disguise within her portraits, primarily of women. She's known for her intricate use of patterns drawn from the traditional clothing of the Tây, Hmong, and Muong ethnic group.
You know, it's such a joy for me to look at this work again because I haven't looked at it for a long time. Almost like a shadow play. And then the different textile of the man's clothes and the woman's clothes and the headdress, all these little half circles that she does for the symbol of the spirit world. The beauty of a lot of her work for me is always that Taoist belief of hers. Man comes from nature and returns to nature, and how everything exists within us, like the trees in us and the leaves are in us.
It's intertwined.
Yes, it's all intertwined. And having the daylight and the dark, the limb goes within the limb. So it's this very interesting mixture of what you see and what you don't see.
I think one of the striking features of her portraits is the absence of the facial figures. The women's figure seems to merge and blend with nature, the trees and branches and leaves.
Exactly.
And while her subjects are often women from her village, her focus isn't on depicting an idealized or exoticized beauty. Rather, she emphasizes the vibrant, handcrafted clothing.
Yeah, I think like where she'll have elements that are highly suggestive, of a culture, like the Hmong culture or Red Zhao or different ethnic minorities. But, as you said, like this lack of detail, so it could be everyone, every man. It becomes kind of international because there's no specific detail. Or even like sometimes in her work, she'll have, in the face, she'll have a toy or like a leaf or a cloud, that represents the spirit world. And it makes it all universal, and that whole philosophy of, that we all interconnected.
I find her use of negative and positive space within the figures themselves particularly intriguing. It's almost like a game of hide and seek. She skillfully builds layers of imagery, ensure that no single element dominates the other, choosing what to focus on. Maybe you might want to look at the running in the forest.
Like how she uses the trunks of the trees. It's almost like they're wrapped.
What are they running from or running towards?
The kind of quintessential, the ethnic minority people that I have had the privilege of knowing anyway. Vietnamese people in general as a culture are very resilient. They've had to be to survive all the tragedy that's happened. But the ethnic minority people take it to a whole nother level. Their lives are so hard. They live in very inhospitable areas, and they have to carry water to the top of the mountain to water their corn, and they spend all day doing that. And when you live like that, it doesn't matter what task it is or what has to be done, you just do it. So to me, when I see them, that's just how they live. They're always
Running.
They're always doing something. And Tham Poong, of course she grew up with that. Not that her life was that hard, because she was from an educated, scholarly family, but still, that is her spirit. She's formidable. I'm sure she could do anything.
How was your first encounter with her like?
So that was probably 94 when I first met her. She, at that time, was studying sculpture. And then I got to know her when her very first exhibition she had at Salon Natasha. That was about 97. She did something called The Sun Also Rises. And it was very unique works on zal paper, ephemeral figures kind of rising out of the water. And Natasha had another exhibition called Icons of Our Times. And all the artists made something that measured time. And I remember she made this little clock.
Oh, is it the 12 o'clock exhibition? I think that's Nguyễn Văn Cường exhibition where he asked his artist friend to make a clock, but it could be made from anything, and they just show it at midnight on New Year's.
Maybe that's what it was from. I mean, just simple, on cardboard. I don't think I have it in my collection book. You know, it's just a small kind of fun piece, but it's really wonderful.
I feel like this work, it's very distinct of like the absence of the facial features and the overlapping patterns. It doesn't have that village nature around her hometown environment anymore. It's more abstract. It's like the whole universe.
Definitely. Like, as you say, none of that kind of the ethnic minority textures or patterns. It's one of my favorites. Perhaps because it is so universal, and the way she uses all this filigree, like instead of the cloud that represents typically the spiritual,
traditional clouds,
like the
temple,
ancient clouds in the temple. That's true. Or you could also see it as like the filigree from a lot of the detail in the French railing, and that's double happiness, isn't it? But what's interesting and different in Tham Poong's work here, how she uses like this plaid, unusual for her, right?
But I was exploring patterns
maybe
at that time.
Yeah, I think so too. And here using that kind of harlequin-like pattern, and then of course the gold leaf, which makes it so vibrant. Some of her other works have that kind of Gustav Klimt-like patterning that she uses, but this one is really, really unique. And then the green's quite unusual. That's very unusual. The shell, it could be the symbol of eternity. And then that little flower in the very center. It's like the flower from the plumeria tree. It's always in front of the pagodas.
I feel like this painting, it's kind of like her departure, as you said earlier, from her usual figures here. She's depicting two men, right? We could assume that.
Yes. And also, it's very much a departure because, you know, instead of all that patterning that she did.
And they're reading the
figures.
news. They're not in nature. Like
they're
in
like,
front of the Hoàn Kiếm Lake.
This exhibition was called Destination of a Oblique Line. Here you see them concentrating on the newspaper, right? They have a focus. Just like the target, the water, and then the reflection of the bridge in Hoàn Kiếm Lake. It's not fantasy that exists there, but these two men kind of hovering. So it's this kind of surrealist, realist imagery.
And they're sitting down, but there are no physical chairs.
That's right. So it exists or it doesn't exist. Her work is recognizable as Tham Poong. Nobody does work like she does. Every series is different.
I feel like this might also be like the ripples of the water.
Yeah, I noticed this for the first time. Like these are all the grasses that are growing in the water.
The reflection of the bridge. Could it be like the eye of something?
Or it could be even like a boat.
And like these two men, they are wearing like, their clothes are like uniform. They're wearing the same thing. Is it like the same person or is it two different person?
We don't know.
We don't really know.
We are all so many people in one body.
If you look at the color, here he's wearing a pink watch. The color of the sky is blue. Like maybe this is a reach, but she's trying to depict like femininity and masculinity in the same person.
Because she does that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, in her, always the merging, right, of the male, female. Yeah,
just my interpretation.
I think that when you get back from it, it's the temple. Looks like it.
Instead of trying to get into the details of the temple, she just kind of like, have like a more holistic, abstract.
Just like just the idea of a temple, kind of oblique. It's a reference, but not clear.